Uh, our old standby, Mr. Charles Chaplin.
Charles when he's being formal and making a drama,
Yeah.
and Charlie
I mean, it is true.
to his
He
friends.
is always credited as a director as Charles. But I like to make the distinction sometimes. I mean, we're talking about the Gold Rush,
The Gold
which
Rush.
is, as stated in the early intro title, a dramatic comedy.
Yeah, I like this. I found it. I mean, it's often hard to talk about slapstick comedy movies, though there is
Mm.
a lot more kind of narrative stuff going on in this one than previous ones. Uh, but I actually found myself gripped enough that I did not take any notes,
Oh, there you go.
which is which is a good sign. But we'll see how that turns
Yeah.
out.
I mean, this is a pretty. I feel like this is a pretty famous one of his movies. It's like it's up there
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
canon. I'd never seen this one.
I hadn't either, and this is the first comedy that he's made since The Kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a couple years since he's done comedy.
Yeah, and I think this movie does a kind of a better job of balancing the comedy and the drama than the Kid. I think the Kid is like it's very funny or it's very dramatic, and I feel like
It's a little, yeah,
it felt a little flip floppy at times. Whereas this, I think, does a better job of kind of like seeding both throughout the whole thing, where it's like scenes play out and they're kind of simultaneously funny and a little sad or a little dramatic.
yeah. He's a real beat down guy in this.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of people who are just exceedingly mean to him in
Oh
this
yeah.
movie.
For sure. I don't know. This movie felt a little bit less, I guess, kind of maudlin, or I don't know. I feel like there's times in the Kid where I'm like, all right, we get it. It's sad.
It's a little overdone. Yeah, it's like baby's first attempt at drama. You
Right.
know.
Which isn't to say there's not good stuff in that movie, but I think I overall I think of the Chaplin movies that I've seen that are sort of like trying to kind of thread this needle between comedy and drama. I think this was the most successful one that I've seen so far.
I would
Maybe.
agree, but also I think that like it wasn't as funny as other movies, which is maybe
Mm.
part of what's going on, right? It's like there were some real good laughs in this movie. I laughed. I thought it was
Hmm.
funny at points, but like overall, it doesn't feel like you're watching like a laugh a minute movie. You know?
No. Yeah. And it's definitely compared to like the other, like the Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd movies, like those movies are so like laugh every second. Like
Yeah.
the amount of jokes happening per second in those is like mind-boggling. Whereas this is taking a little slow. But yeah, I mean, just so this movie is about Chaplin's sort of like classic tramp character going off to the north of Alaska to make his fortune in the gold rush, hence the title. And
The tramp really just like is a character who transcends time and space,
pretty much,
and he's just an elemental who
yeah,
can appear wherever.
I did think the kind of reveal of him. There's sort of this intro of like setting up how people are like going out into the mountains of Alaska to find gold, and we see all these sort of explorers and people like climbing up mountains and things like that, and then it's like, and then the reveal of Charlie Chaplin just kind of like waddling onto screen on a mountaintop in his completely normal like costume was very funny.
Yes, and waddle is a good word for the way that
Yeah.
he moves.
And yeah, the first like chunk of this movie is him kind of uh trying to get out of a blizzard. And him and another prospector end up finding this cabin, and they're all kind of like, the guy who's already in the cabin is a criminal who's on the lam, and they're all kind of competing for who can stay in the cabin. And there's a lot of like gags, and there's like whenever they open the door, the wind comes in and like pushes them out.
Yeah.
The door gags got to me. Those were good. I enjoyed all the door gags.
I was kind of surprised when I was watching this at how long they spent in the cabin.
Yeah,
Uh, like I was initially thinking like that almost the entire movie. This is going to be a Hateful Eight situation. They're
yeah,
just snowed in for the entire movie. Uh, but eventually they do get out. But they spend a lot of time. And there's like some menace in this movie and kind of like fear in a way
yeah,
because you know the tramp is this very innocent character who is just trying to get by, and he's surrounded by people who are so hungry or villainous that they want to eat him
yeah.
or or kill
Just
him. You
a
know,
little light cannibalism humor.
there's a really good scene, and like I feel like this movie is also the genesis of. I think maybe Buster Keaton is the most direct predecessor of Looney Tunes, but there are some
Mm.
like Looney Tunes ass like things in this movie, uh,
I mean,
including including this scene uh, where one of the characters is dreaming about eating Charlie Chaplin,
yeah,
and he transforms. He kind of like fades in his mind into being a giant chicken,
yeah.
which is very cartoony and fun.
It's something that I will pretty much always find funny is when someone is really hungry in a movie or a cartoon and they like hallucinate someone into a giant piece of food.
Yeah,
Which this is like he's hallucinating Charlie Chaplin into just a full live chicken, just a giant
yeah.
chicken man.
Good chicken acting too. Like the
Yeah.
way that the I don't know if it's Charlie in the costume or not, but
Hmm.
like whoever's in the costume is doing a great job kind of emulating the movements of a chicken.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, there's a lot of good good little jokes thrown in here. There's a bit where Charlie Chaplin eats one of his shoes. Um, which I think I remember hearing that he like made the shoe out of licorice or something like that, or he like
Huh.
made this edible shoe that he eats in the scene. Really makes a meal out of this scene. You know what I mean?
Ha ha
Um,
ha.
he does though. Like it's really all the business of him sort of like taking the shoe out of the pot that's boiling and sort of like taking it apart and like taking the nails like out of it that are holding the shoe
Yeah.
together.
And there's like really good just subtle jokes of he's boiling the shoe so that he can eat the leather of the shoe because they're all so hungry, and he's like kind of using like picking the nails through his teeth as
Hmm.
if they're bones,
Yeah, yeah.
which is it's just solid gag work.
This section of the movie does kind of feel reminiscent of like the earlier like one or two real comedy movies of just like here is a location, we're gonna do all the jokes for this location we can, and then move on.
Yeah, in a way, like this. I don't know, this cabin and prospector and cannibalism stuff is maybe the first half hour, like maybe 40 minutes of the movie,
Hmm.
and like the plot proper kind of kicks in
Right.
once they get out
Yeah.
of the shack.
Yeah, they get into town in like this you know prospector town. Oh, that in this section in the cabin, there's another great just like visual gag is you see like the the tramp's shoes hanging off the bed, and you think that he's sleeping one way, and then he reveals he's actually wearing the shoes on his hands, so he can look to see if he's getting snuck up on. Yeah, just a great, funny visual reveal there.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he gets out of the cabin, he goes to town, and we meet one of our principal characters, Georgia, who's the female lead of this movie, and definitely stuck out to me as like a kind of an atypical like romantic lead for a Chaplin movie, in that she kind of sucks. Like
Yeah.
she's
yeah.
not like an ingenue, like hapless, like innocent woman who's just trying to like make her way in life. She's like, I don't know, just a bit more of a, like a vampy character.
Yes, and also just like just I don't know, mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I kind of appreciated that just as like something different for these movies because it didn't feel like a repeat of a lot of his earlier stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an avenue. I think that previously the romantic, object of his films have been kind of the source of comedy in that, or in the way that these slapstick movies work. It's like, I'm trying to impress the lady or
Hmm.
something like that. But here, the romantic interest is kind of this source of like heaviness and drama.
She's kind of the
Uh,
antagonist for like a good chunk of the movie, I feel like.
yeah, I like she, um, in some of the more kind of schmaltzy and like maybe overdone scenes of the movie, it's like the tramp or the prospector, as he's known in this movie, like basically having some real like incel moments based on based on the way that this woman is treating him. So she kind of dances with him as a way of like taunting her boyfriend,
Hmm.
and then the tramp quickly falls for her and is like, "Oh, you wanted to dance with me? That's great. Do you want to come back to my place and I'll make dinner for you?" Um, and she's like, "Sure, whatever." Uh,
Yeah.
and then she promptly forgets or doesn't care, and then is back with her boyfriend, and so there's this scene that is built out of the tension of intercutting, and also uh, just yeah, the kind of stakes that are involved in what has been established in the romantic story, where he's really hopeful about this person. He really feels for her, and so he makes a whole dinner uh, for her and her friends. And he gets it all prepared in his new apartment in
His
in
shack.
Prospector Town, his shack in Prospector Town, and there are all of these scenes of her just kind of, you know, wantonly partying while he is getting ready to have a nice dinner and getting
Yeah.
presents for everybody.
Well, this
Uh,
is on New Year's Eve, so she's at like a New Year's Eve party, while he is sort of like preparing this very elaborate dinner. I don't know where he got any of. He's got nice napkins and candles. He's like going all out. Yeah, it's sort of like as the night drags on, it's sort of like he's still kind of just waiting there, and eventually he just sort of starts, I guess, imagining or not really hallucinating. It's more just like his imagination coming out.
Does he fall asleep?
I don't remember if he actually falls asleep or not, but there's this sort of like fantasy he has of being surrounded by all the people he invited at the table, and he does his famous bread dance with the loaves of bread on forks.
Yeah, definitely the most famous scene from this movie,
Yeah,
and one of the more famous scenes from all of silent film, where he he. I mean, it's kind of a fun thing.
it is very fun and charming. I like the bread dance.
If you haven't seen it, he just he takes some forks and puts them in little dinner breads, whatever you call them, little tiny loaves, and makes them into big cartoon feet, and then makes them
Yeah.
dance to entertain his party guests, because he is he's an incel type that does magic and and tries to impress people with silly things.
Yeah. Um, and so then, yeah, Georgia never shows up, and she kind of feels bad about it, but also not really enough to like, I don't know, do anything about it.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's this bit where she writes like a love note to her boyfriend and signs it. Um, and then
She says also sorry for last night.
right, yeah. And then the boyfriend plays a very mean prank on Charlie by giving him the note, then being like, "Hey, the lady wanted me to give you this note."
This movie is so brutal to
Yeah,
him.
this movie is very like mean to the main character for sure. But so then I guess the guy that he had been stuck in the cabin with comes back, and he thinks he's like after him to try to eat him again. But then he catches up to him, and he just yells "the cabin," and it's like giant letters. That's something that we've noticed a bit more of, where it's like giant letters in intertitles to signify something being loud, and it being really small type to be like something far away or really quiet, which I think is fun.
This is a big typeface episode.
Yeah. But so then he ends up going back to the cabin to get to get his fortune, because the guy has discovered gold nearby.
And because they were friends with each other and didn't eat each other, and because Charlie helped this guy find where the gold was in relation to the cabin. I guess they end up becoming fabulously wealthy.
Yeah. Well, there's before that there is the great bit of the cabin hanging off the edge of the cliff, which is like teetering, balancing on the edge of the cliff that they have to deal with.
Another Looney Tunes moment for
Very
sure.
much. Yeah.
I shan't skip over that because it's they fall asleep in the cabin, they wake up, and the wind has blown it so much that the cabin has moved, and it's as you were saying, teetering off the edge of a cliff.
But they don't know, so they're like walking around the cabin, and it's like causing it to like tilt off the edge more, and
it's some good like big, broad, cartoony, physical comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, possibly another Simpsons reference here, where in the Mr. Plow episode, where his truck goes off the edge of the cliff, and it's hanging there, and then he like turns the dial of the radio to slightly shift the weight back, so that he's back on the road. Feels like a reference to this movie.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know how early the sort of like tilting on the edge of a cliff gag came about. This is probably the earliest version of it that I've seen, but I don't know.
It's definitely an iconic usage.
Yeah. They manage to not fall off the cliff, and they get the gold, and they become fabulously wealthy. And one thing that I think is kind of fun with Chaplin's performance throughout this whole movie is like his body language shifts from like low to high status happen a lot, where it's like he'll be sort of very sheepish or very like holding himself very small, and then something will happen and he'll get this like boost of confidence, and he'll suddenly be like carrying himself very confidently, and those shifts are always really funny. Of just like you see him just like completely change his body language on a dime, and it's very good. But then he's on a boat, I guess from Alaska to somewhere, and photographer is like, "Hey, let's take a picture of you in your mining clothes." And so he takes off all his fancy clothes and he puts on his tramp costume again. And while he's wearing that, he runs into Georgia again, who's like trying to take the ship to, find a better life for herself. And then they kind of reconnect and like I don't know, admit their love for each other or whatever. And then she joins him in his portrait, and like the portrait photographer is trying to take the picture, and he's like, "Hey, quit smooching, you're ruining the picture." And he's like, stuff it. He's like, take your picture. Which I thought was like, I thought that was a pretty genuinely sweet way to end the movie.
Yeah, which is not the way that the re-release ends.
Ooh, really?
The re-release kind of makes their the re-release acknowledges them seeing each other and reconnecting a bit, but it does not have the romantic end of this movie. It just ends with them like walking off camera. It tones down some of the kind of romantic angle
Hmm.
a little bit. It makes it so it was never really as much of a prospect
Hmm.
as it is in this movie, or in this version of the movie.
That I think would probably play a bit more realistically, maybe. Like I don't know if the sort of like romantic ending of this movie is particularly earned,
Hmm.
based on how mean Georgia is to him throughout the entire rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And then she's sort of like, "Oh, you're." Well, I guess the point of the ending, as it stands in the original one, is that like she doesn't know that he's fabulously wealthy, and she still sort of like wants to be with him at the end before she knows that. Um, but yeah, it is. It does feel a bit unearned, I think. But I like the just that last scene. I think is well done.
Good old Chaplin movie.
Yeah.